Two men, two very different paths. And yet, both were chosen to change the world. This is the story of Peter and Paul, two of the most important figures in the early Christian church. Peter wasn't always the bold leader we know today. He was a simple fisherman, originally named Simon. One day, Jesus called him to follow, saying, "I will make you a fisher of men." And just like that, Peter left everything behind. Peter was passionate, but impulsive. When Jesus was arrested, Peter denied knowing him 3 times, just as Jesus had predicted. And when the rooster crowed, Peter realized what he had done. He was heartbroken. But Jesus wasn't done with Peter. After his resurrection, he forgave Peter and gave him a mission: feed my sheep. Peter became a leader of the early church, preaching boldly, healing the sick, and spreading the message of Christ. But his journey wasn't without struggles. Then there was Paul. But before he was Paul, he was Saul, a man who saw Christians as a threat. He hunted them down, believing he was doing God's will. But everything changed on the road to Damascus. A blinding light knocked him to the ground, and he heard a voice, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" It was Jesus. For 3 days, Saul was blind, until a Christian named Ananias, following God's instructions, laid hands on him. Saul's sight was restored, but so was his heart. He became Paul, a passionate follower of Jesus, dedicating his life to spreading the gospel. Peter focused on spreading Jesus' message to the Jewish people, while Paul took the gospel to the Gentiles, people outside the Jewish faith. They were different in many ways, but they shared the same mission. They didn't always see eye to eye. At one point, Paul challenged Peter for being hesitant to accept non-Jewish believers fully. But in the end, they both understood the same truth. Jesus came for everyone. Peter continued to preach in Jerusalem and beyond, but eventually he was arrested in Rome. He was sentenced to death, choosing to be crucified upside down, feeling unworthy to die in the same way as Jesus. Paul also faced imprisonment. Even from a jail cell, he wrote letters to encourage the churches, letters that still inspire millions today. And like Peter, he too was executed for his faith. Peter and Paul may have been different, but they shared a calling: to spread the love of Jesus. Their courage, their faith, and their willingness to sacrifice everything changed history. And their story? It's still being written today, in the lives of those who continue to believe and share the same message of hope.